We're going to start putting all this together. I'd like you to look at slide 17, if you don't mind, and questions number 27 and 28 on your Google Doc relate to it. If you look at the questions on the left side, these are the questions that thinking students traditionally ask. And if you look at questions on the right side, these are questions that feeling students traditionally ask. You can see the difference on both sides. Again, if you're a thinking student, look at the questions. If you're a feeling student, look at the questions. But more importantly, look how different the questions are just when we change position on the thinking spectrum. This shows the impact on what we judge and how we judge. Okay? So let's look at the questions for number 27. Let's look at the questions that a thinking student asks and think about, no pun intended, think about what are two statements that can be made on those questions. So traditionally, thinking students tend to ask questions like, what does the data tell me? Is the answer in the book? What's the argument here? How can I prove this right or wrong? And notice the difference, yeah? The difference that you can see here. The thinking students' questions are about stuff, right? Data, answer, argument, this. They're about things that can be done. They're about stuff. They're about, if you notice, just keep that in mind. And then let's now go to the other side and let's look at the questions asked by a feeling student. Do I like this? Does this relate to me? What's the point of this? Why does the teacher hate me? Notice the feeling questions that are asked. There's I, me. There's a lot of personalization there. The personal pronoun is much more dominant and plays a much more important role in the feeling student questions than in the thinking student. They're much more personal. And then notice also on the thinking student, there's no emotion. Argument, answer, book, data, this, right, wrong. But on the feeling student side, do I like this? Me, relate, what's the point? And again, with that one, what's the point of this to me? Right? Like, why does this matter to me? Why does the teacher hate me? Notice that on the left side, there is an emphasis. You can almost see there's an emphasis on logic and reason, and on the right side, there's an emphasis on emotion. And again, just in the way we ask questions, the questions we ask reflect who we are. And I think you can kind of see this is why it's so important to recognize that thinking, feeling, these are not just words. Move the spectrum, you change the human being. If you are in a classroom taught by a thinking teacher, and they don't know that they're a thinking teacher, dollars to donuts, everything you're going to be dealing with is going to be thinking based. Same thing is true. If you're in a classroom with a feeling teacher, and they don't know that they're a feeling teacher, the feeling students are going to work really well in that classroom, just like the thinking students would work really well in a thinking teacher's classroom. Antaeus did not work well with the sniper. He was a feeling student. She was a thinking teacher. The collision was evident. There was a gulf between them. And I'm not saying that those gaps are impossible to overcome, but how can you overcome something if you don't know what it is? How can you fix something when you can't even talk about the problem? That's the issue here. The issue is not that, oh my God, we need to get more thinking teachers, more feeling. No. The issue is we need to accept our limitations. And we need to recognize that we have to pivot from our limitations and turn them into strengths.